Welcome back to Taiwan Outlook. Our guest today is Lisa Wang. She's a very famous movie critic in Taiwan. Lisa, we've been talking about how you make yourself a very successful movie critic. But as we know that the local movie industry has now been in trouble, and especially in the face of the Hollywood movies and so on. What do you think are the most important challenge or most difficult challenge for the local movie industry?
I think the most challenging and difficult part of it is actually not in the process of movie making, but it's a built-in thing that's called decision making. Yeah, because you have to decide what kind of a movie, what kind of a genre you have to go into when you want to make a movie. But you find this to be, one of the biggest weakness in local movie making.
I see.
They make a movie, with or without that kind of money, the budget. They don't know what kind of audience they want to target.
So they don't do the market research first?
I don't think they do anything.
Really?
Just what they think will work, or they copycat the last, probably so-called blockbuster, not necessarily internationally, but local movies that can make it. Okay, and then you find a school of copycats in the market, and that's really hurting, I think.
But in terms of resources, do you think that's a very important element in making a movie industry successful?
I think it's so critical. For instance, if you look, over at Thailand, okay, they have very nice ghost movies, and that ghost is a genre that they really can go for, and they can excel their technology in. But if you look for the Taiwanese production, you see that people are kind of torn between either this is a romantic comedy or shall we make a horror movie, or whatever they decide is probably based on their kind of instinctive or experience from the last batch of movies that were out in the market, and it's really not a very scientific or logical way of deciding. Right.
As we know that South Korea has been very successful in making their movie industry compete with other countries, and apparently there must be some logic or rationale behind their strategies. What's behind their success story?
Korea, to me, is a very special case. And I think, they're most successful in their so-called soap opera.
That's right.
making.
Not on the movies.
Not really in the movie part. Okay? Despite the fact that they sell to all over the world, but, their movie only work in overseas market when they are, international subject matter, like My Savvy Girlfriend. That's a particular case, and then one or two of their so-called ghost movies that probably copycat from the Japanese ghost movies. And I think that the Korean movies per se are really good for their local markets, with their nationalistic subject matter. They're really tailored to their local market,
not for the
and not really for the international aside. I don't even think they work very well for the rest of Asian movie markets. Not like some of the probably Hong Kong movie do, or even Chinese movie do.
I see. But some of the movies produced by Taiwan won a lot of awards and so on. But some people criticize that for being not too commercialized. In other words, it's not very competitive in the market. It might be very competitive in those film festivals. So they do not really have to, they do not really survive in balancing the two. What's your take on that?
My take on that is that, people just go their own way doing the best job they can do. So for those people who can win prizes in international, awards, that's a good thing. They do what they do best. But you still need some productions that can relate to the moviegoers in Taiwan or even in the world. That's what we call commercial or entertaining movies. Then, this part of the industry is so lagging. That's where the problem or question comes from. Because if you always come up with prize-winning artistic art house, we call it art house movies, then how are you going to relate to the commercial markets? So I think there's a big void there.
How about documentaries? I know that it's now become very popular to produce documentaries. It's very good, but I think is that in terms of marketing, in terms of commercializing those films, it doesn't really help too much.
I think documentary is a very strong suit in Taiwan as movie goes. And you have, for the last decade, many good documentaries that are put into the commercial distribution channels. And some work, some didn't. So it really depends on how good the movie is. So it's a case-by-case thing. Okay, and I think documentary movie making is going to go a long way in Taiwan. However, some of the documentary movie makers are transferring from documentary to drama making. So you find them making more dramatic movies in the future, and that's a good sign too, because with that kind of shift, they probably would recruit more talents, and then they would have bigger budgets, and then they will exploit their technology even better. So I'm looking forward to that, really, and especially when all those people who shift from documentary to drama are those younger generations. So I'm really looking forward to their development.
I think for many people, actually, stories. In other words, the movie stories are more important than other things. That's the most important thing. And some people say that the reason why we do not really make a big hit on the movies is because we don't have good stories or good scripts and so on. Do you think that's the case?
I really can agree with that, because for every one movie to be made, actually probably is a pool of 20, 30 movies, scripts. So I don't think story is the thing, but as I talked about earlier, that you really should decide what kind of a movie or story you want to tell. It's not like a hodgepodge of everything. No, you have to be more clear and precise in your decision-making process. And then when you decide, you just go for it. So the whole 9-yard things. So you just cannot, kind of shift in the middle of movie making. Okay, I think that part of it is really the true test and in a moment of truth for the movie maker, the filmmaker. So I think that in the future, I would strongly recommend that they be more audience-oriented, and then when they decide, they just go all the way. Do not be a hodgepodge of everything. And who knows? We'll see. Probably they'll do even a better job.
But we have been in that kind of situation for years. How come people did not realize that that should be the way to do?
Sometimes when you're in a declining market, you get really confused. I think that's really human nature, and it's to be expected.
That's right.
And I don't worry about that at all. What I truly want is to have more people, especially younger generations, to come out with their own creation. Whatever they want to do, they just do it. Okay, and not to pay too much attention to the, old paradigm and the movie making, especially when you talk about documentary. It's really a portable camera kind of work. You just go anywhere and then you make a movie. You do not have to pay attention to the old school where they say you have to be located in a sound studio and then you lay your tracks when you do your camera work. It's really no longer that. And I think there are so many other channels for your expression on YouTube or any form that you like online. So people should try all kinds of different things. And I strongly recommend that younger generation just come out and come up with whatever you think you want to do.
That's right. And every year, the government of Taiwan also provides all kinds of support, especially money, budgets for the movie industry. But, some people criticize for the government, criticizing the government for giving the money to the wrong place, wrong time, wrong people, and so on. Do you think that's a fair statement?
It's, yes and no. Sign of the time kind of response, right? Actually, there are not that many, entitlement to all kinds of money. So they have to choose, of course. For instance, they will give out 10. Okay, and as long as the 10 all come up with their finished products, then they pass and they get the money. Okay, despite whatever people say about that movie. Okay, and I think that the money is the fund. The so-called funding is quite limited, and so it's not that fair to say that to have this blame game and say that we give the money to the wrong people, but there should be, I think, a visionary kind of statement to begin with, and let people know what kind of storytelling or what kind of scripts or what kind of movie making the government wants, okay, for the market. And then probably that way, okay, movie makers will know better what to do, okay? So I think there's still some lacking in their process. Probably will need a SOP kind of thing, standard procedures, to let people know what to do. And not in the so-called, because what exists now is people would sometimes criticize the subsidy for movies as the black box operation. Okay, because you really don't know what goes on in this black box mode. So I would strongly recommend that everybody, be straightforward about what they want, and how you are going to qualify for the process, and be very transparent, be very outspoken about this process. I think that's really necessary.
To make our films or movies more competitive, apparently we have to compete with the Hollywoods. Do you think we have that kind of competitiveness in the face of the Hollywood movies? Oh,
I think so, because local moviegoers would always like to see some local content. Especially the movie Go Left, Go Right, the movies that was like a few years back. And when people see the local contents, such as scenes from Taipei City, they feel so good and feel so close to the storytelling. So, there will always be possibilities. We just need more people who are interested in movie to go for it.
But as a result of the big environment, which is deteriorating some way or another, and it appears to some people that many people who used to work in the movie industry are now leaving that position and then find other jobs. So there are fewer and fewer talents in the industry. Do you think that's the case?
No, I don't agree at all. Because in Taiwan, there, the next generations are those people with more creativity and originality. That's what I see day in, day out. So actually, what they need is probably some kind of push, encouragement, and to ask them to just go for it. Try whatever you like. And as for the people who are leaving the industry, it's okay, because they can come back anytime, or if they're gone, there are always replacements. So I don't think it's a critical issue at all.
I think it's not only Taiwan who is facing the competition from the Hollywoods. I think all the countries all over the world are now facing the similar situation.
Definitely.
So when we come back, we'll talk about what are the Taiwan's niches in the face of the competition from the Hollywood, and more importantly, and whether you'll be interested in making a movie of your own. Stay with us, we'll be right back.